but we just wanted it so bad. And we were willing to do anything to get it, basically.
I mean, baptism of fire. I guess that's probably why you guys are so confident on stage now.
Finding someone who really sees you for who you are, that kind of changed me a lot.
Hello and welcome to the PVRIS podcast, where we get into the music and moments that have made your favourite artists who they are today. I'm your host, Abbie McCarthy, and in this episode, I sit down with Heather from Manchester indie band Pale Waves to delve into their fourth album, Smitten. We also talk about their newfound confidence and their biggest moments to date. All right, on with the show. Welcome to the PVRIS podcast, Heather from Pale Waves. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. It's so
Good.
nice to see you. It's been
Too
ages.
long. I know, too long.
What's been going on?
Same odd, really. Pale Waves, Pale Waves, Pale Waves.
Pale Waves, what a band. What a band. You're obviously with us in London today, but I know you sort of spend your time here, there and everywhere. Nice stint over in LA. Do you miss the Manchester rain, like a little bit?
Oh, yeah, a little bit. But I'm always back. I'm always going back and forth. I was just up north, a few days ago. So it's always nice to go back up north.
Do you get homesick?
Yeah, I do. And I feel like you can breathe up there. Whereas in cities like London or LA, it's mayhem.
Yeah. There's a lot of creatives in LA, though. Do you feel like it feels nice to be kind of amongst them a little bit?
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of people to, collaborate with and to do music with, basically.
And Ciara lives out in LA as well.
Yeah, Ciara lives in LA. And my brother lives there, so there's a lot of people there that I know.
And you've just been touring the US, haven't you, with PVRIS. So how was the run? Did you have the best time?
Yeah, it was so good. It was just so not serious.
Oh, really?
In the best way.
Yeah.
They are just so fun to be around and, friends for life. We'd wake up at, 4 a.m. and Ciara was just missing. And they were on their bus. Everyone loved Ciara on that tour. And we all became really good friends.
Oh, so it's nice when you actually come away from a tour like that as friends as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they're friends for life now, for sure.
Oh. So when they come over here, you need to give them a good night out as well.
Yeah, well, we've actually seen Brian. He lives here.
Oh.
Yeah, and he came to Why Not Festival with his wife. Already met up.
That's it. Best
Can't get rid of
mates.
him.
Absolutely done. Very excited to talk about the new music, but let's rewind to pre-Pale Waves era and get to know a little bit more about you and where you came from. So you grew up in Preston, didn't you?
Yeah.
How did you find that?
It's Preston, innit? There's not much happening, to be fair, but yeah, I guess it's all right.
Do you feel like you wanted to get out of there?
Yeah, 100%. I was as soon as university was a conversation, I knew I was going somewhere else that wasn't Preston.
And Manchester was really where you kind of found a real sense of yourself, right?
Yeah, definitely. I love Manchester. It's so good and it's very diverse, whereas Preston's just kind of the same old. You know what you're going to get. And it's nice to go back home and, be there with my family, but I knew that I wouldn't live permanently in Preston.
And have you always written songs? Was that just a way for you to process stuff growing up, or when was that moment that you discovered songwriting?
I was really into sports when I was growing up. I loved playing football. So gay, but I loved it. I loved running, and I was really good at it. But then I actually broke my back. Yeah, I know.
What?
I don't really speak about it much because I can't bother, but I'll speak about it with you.
Yeah, that's serious.
Yeah, it was quite painful actually. And then so I needed to go to hospital and get a cage put in my back and bolts put in my back, and I couldn't play sports anymore basically. And I just had to rest for a year and a half. And my dad was like, why don't you play the guitar with me? Because he plays guitar. And then that's when I kind of just fell in love with it. Wrote a lot of terrible songs when I was younger. But yeah, that's when it started.
So how was your back now? So you must still have all the pins and staples and stuff.
Oh yeah, you can see it. It sticks out because
no way.
I don't have a lot of padding back there. So if I push myself back or something, I can feel it. And you can see it when you look at me.
And you obviously beep always going through security.
Well,
I'm
no,
guessing.
not always.
Oh.
But when I do go off and they have to touch you down or up, whatever, they're like, "What is that? Is that a belt?" And I'm like, "No, it's just metal.
That's just me."
Yeah, just bolts.
Do you remember though, writing those songs, or do you remember picking up the guitar and instantly getting a kind of release?
Yeah, because I didn't really have a passion then because sports got taken away from me. So I really wanted to find that passion again, and it was music. And then I just wanted to be a performer. I wanted to be on stage.
But you could have been a baller. Do you think you could have?
I know. Well, I don't know, because I think I'm just too small. Like, when I would play, like, football and stuff, like, the other girls would just knock me down. And I guess... Well, I would run faster than them.
Yeah, maybe you're kind of like a nifty player, though.
Yeah, you know, like one that just whizzes by.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. It's so right that you're a performer. That's obviously.
Yeah. I wouldn't go back and change it now.
Exactly. Yeah, it's meant to be, for sure. So you then went to BIM, didn't you? Music College in Manchester. And I guess that must have been great because you can like fully commit to music and really give it a go.
Yeah, I mean, it was all right. I studied songwriting and I don't think you can teach songwriting, really.
Few people say that. A lot of people end up dropping out of music college, don't they?
Yeah, I only stayed in for it for my parents, to be fair. I wanted to like leave it quite early on, like when we started Pale Waves, or at least when me and Ciara met each other, we were like, all right, let's sack uni off now and just focus on the band. But we kind of felt too bad on our parents. So we just finished it. But I can't say I learnt much. But I met Ciara and that started Pale Waves, so
exactly. And
it's
the rest
good
is
for
history.
meeting people.
And also, yours and Ciara's bond is like, it's so beautiful. Like your friendship is so evident. Like, did you know straight away you were going to be best mates?
Yeah, well, I actually spotted Ciara on Facebook first.
Okay.
So like we had a Facebook page, and it was people who were going to university, and it was all just guys. And I was like, Christ, is it just going to be me and like all guys? And then Ciara popped up and I was like, oh, that's someone who I think, you know, I can get along with. And then we met up and then just instantly, you know, we just had a bond and then loved a lot of the same music. And originally Ciara was drumming for me as, you know, Heather Baron-Gracie.
Right.
And then I said, why don't we just make this a band? And then we had to find 2 other people.
And were you always called Pale Waves?
No, we were called Creek originally. So we were trying endlessly to get a name from somewhere and came up with some horrific things. And then I was at home, just sat in the conservatory, and my grandma has a painting, and that basically inspired Pale Waves.
Oh, that's cool.
And then I thought, it's sentimental, so I can't really grow tired of it.
No, exactly. That's the thing with the band name, isn't it? There's so many you can just get bored of after like a week.
Yeah, and I kind of go in phases of it. I'm like, oh, should I have done that? But then I'm like, no, I love it.
And obviously you're all like great friends, which is what makes the band work so well. But what do you think you all like bring to the table creatively? Well,
I would say we're all very creative, so we'll all input, but Charlie's mainly just there for the party, you know.
For the vibes.
For the vibes. He is the vibe man.
The vibes provider. You need one of them.
I love that about him. You know, he'll always be up to like 4 a.m. talking to anybody. It's usually him and the bus driver just left. Charlie's there for the party vibes. Hugo's there for just everything technical. Mm-hmm. He's really good at anything technical, and he's very creative too. And then Ciara's just super creative and there for the vibes as well. And then I guess I just bring, I don't know, the emotion.
I was thinking you guys obviously like met so young and then started so young as well. So you've actually done like quite a lot of your like growing up and changing in public, haven't you? Mm-hmm. Like I remember when you started out, you maybe weren't as open about like your sexuality. Obviously, you know, Ciara navigating their non-binary identity as well. So I was thinking like, do you think one of the reasons your fans are so connected to you is because they've done some of their growing up with you?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, it is weird just constantly being around people and evolving. And I can think back to like the day one of Pale Waves, and we all were just all tiny little babies trying to navigate life. And we've all had big changes, and we've all grown together. And I do think people can relate to that, and people can relate to our journeys 100%.
Yeah, do you remember like those feelings starting out as a young band in the industry, coming into London a lot of the time to play shows, because a lot of the, you know, the music industry is based here. Like, do you remember how that felt? It
was so exciting and scary at the same time.
Yeah.
But we just wanted it so bad, and we were willing to do anything to get it, basically.
And did you always know you were gonna like make it? Do you think you just had that like belief in the band?
Yeah, I did 100%. I'm just not really good at anything else. So I just had to make it work, basically.
This will work.
Yeah, I didn't really have a backup option, and neither did anyone else. So we just had to make it work.
And thank God you have.
I know, thank God.
Imagine having a normal job.
Be awful.
What do you think you would be doing if you weren't in a band? Or just, I suppose you've never really thought about it because you're just like, I just can't imagine it.
Something to do with helping people, like a nurse or a doctor or something.
Yeah.
So different. But I do enjoy helping people.
Like we were saying, you starting out so young, you've definitely become like a role model, maybe even like, you know, idols to some of your fans. How do you find that? Like, do you ever think that's a bit of pressure?
It's a bit strange because I don't really think I'm anything special. And then I meet these people and they cry. And I'm just like, please stop crying. I don't know what to do. All I can do is hug you. But it is very nice and sentimental that I guess I can do that and be that for somebody. And I almost wish that I had, you know, someone queer to look up to when I was younger, because I don't feel like I had anyone around. But there's obviously way more of that now.
What do you think was like your like sexual awakening, or like when you actually realised your sexuality? Because like you say, in terms of music, there probably wasn't anybody you could look to.
I mean, I really fancy Alice Cullen from Twilight.
Twilight's a big one for lots of people, isn't it?
I know.
Yeah.
Obsessed with it. I still watch it constantly. I'm obsessed with Twilight. Base everything off Twilight. But no, Alice is, you know, she's so cute.
Alice is it. Alice is queen. So your new album, your fourth album, Smitten, has just dropped. She's very, very excited. When did that title come to you?
Must have been like halfway through writing Smitten. I usually go through so many different titles, and then when I know I've got the title, it's like a gut feeling. And I'm very I base everything off gut feeling. And as soon as I came up with Smitten, I knew it was going to be that. I wanted something that sounded, you know, proper English and was quite old and timeless, and Smitten was that.
And this album is so brilliant. It feels like it takes like parts of each album that you've made to date to kind of make like the best of Pale Waves, if you see what I mean. It's like really refined, it's confident, it's mature. Yeah, it's so good. You must be buzzing.
Thank you. I am very happy with it. We all are very happy with it. We put a lot of time and effort into it, and so glad that the world has it now. What it took, you know, we all came together as a band to, you know, record it and refine it even more. And for the past 2 albums, we weren't able to do that because of COVID and stuff. So we've only really done that on album 1, and we were able to do it with this record, and it felt like a proper band, whereas the other records didn't feel as, you know, similar to that.
Yeah, God, I hadn't even thought about that. Yeah, so it's like the last 2 albums has been a totally different process.
Oh, it was so disjointed and just all over the place, really.
Yeah.
Whereas this, you know, like you said before we started this, we were in Eastbourne. Nothing else to do except just stay in the studio and live and breathe it.
Yeah, we've got to talk about Eastbourne, because no offence to the people of Eastbourne, but it's very much a hub for people retiring, isn't it? It's not very rock and roll.
No.
So what was it like recording there? I guess there's no distractions.
No distractions at all. I mean, I've never even heard of the place until I got told, oh yeah, the studio's in Eastbourne. I had to Google it.
And now you know it really well.
Up? Is that down? You know, like, where is it? Yeah, now I know it so well. I mean, there's nothing to do there except go on the beach and walk. But there is a really nice hike, Seven Sisters, I think that's called.
Oh, yeah.
Which I did a bit of. That is really beautiful. And there's lots of sheep. I do love sheep. And I do love the ocean. So it wasn't all that bad, really.
No, it's got some redeeming features.
Yeah, it's got something quite romantic about it that I think enabled me to be able to breathe and to just like have more clarity, whereas recording in a city is just mayhem.
Yeah. And was it nice to just work on it solidly for like, you know, a good couple of months?
Yeah, it was. But then towards the end, I was kind of like, I'm losing my mind now because I can't listen to these songs anymore.
How are you with that, like knowing when they're finished? Are you just a perfectionist?
I am, but it's weird because I've almost like lived with Smitten for like 2+ years now, because when I wrote them, they were kind of nearly done. So it's like I've listened to these as demos, and so now my mind's on the next thing.
So that's how it works. So you're almost like write the tunes solo, then bring them to the band to like fully form them?
Yeah, a lot of them, yeah. A lot of the songs. Or sometimes me and Ciara will write one together, or me and Hugo.
Mm-hmm.
It's very varied, but a lot of the time the bulk is done. And then we come together and make it even more magical.
And that means you can really like push it in the studio, I guess, to be the best that it can be.
Yeah, exactly. And like Charlie will just say, "Oh, I really love this part that you removed. Can we please put it back in?"
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes I'll say yes, sometimes I'll say no.
Sometimes you put your foot down.
Yeah, sometimes the foot's got to go down.
Yeah, fair enough. You've kind of switched up sounds a little bit again on this new album. It feels like you're kind of going back to your roots a little bit more. It sort of leans into that more kind of Mancunian sound, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Was that a deliberate choice?
Well, for me, Unwanted is kind of the odd one out. I think 1, 2, and 4 make sense together. They kind of coexist in this world. But Unwanted was very much wrote to be a live record.
Yeah.
If I was to listen to all records, that would be the last one I would put on. Mm-hmm. But songs like Jealousy and You're So Vain, I love playing those songs live more than any of the other songs.
Yeah.
But artistically, would it be like the album that I'm proud of the most? No. But do I regret it? No.
No, absolutely not. Because it felt like you could let out a lot of sort of like darker feelings, I guess, on Unwanted as well. And like you say, live, it definitely shines.
It's just so fun.
And it opened up the door, I guess, to some festivals maybe you hadn't played before. You know,
things like Slam Dunk.
Exactly.
And a lot of that rock world. And I think you just gotta keep it entertaining for yourself as well. You can't just write the same thing again and again.
Did you notice any new fans coming on board on the last record because it had that kind of pop punk edge? Yeah,
I did actually, and I don't think they're going to be too thrilled about Smitten now, but they've got Unwanted, so they've got some at least.
Yeah, you never know though. There's also a big kind of celebration of being queer on this new album as well.
Yeah.
Were you just like, it's time, let's just do this? Because you've kind of done it throughout your career, but this one feels kind of like the most out-and-out celebration, I would say. Yeah,
100%. I feel like there's way more conversations on this record about being queer than any of the previous records. And I think that's just down to me being older and being able to embrace speaking about it. I don't think I was comfortable or ready to on the last records, or not in the way that I wanted to. I'm old enough to be able to reflect on a lot of things and to kind of analyse and admit when, I was wrong, whereas when I was younger, I was probably just, I'm right.
Whereas, you're always right.
Yeah. Whereas now I'm like, no, I was probably definitely not right. So yeah, it's just being older and having the confidence to do it.
There's been such a rise of like queer women in the mainstream recently, I feel like as well. Billie Eilish, obviously Chapel Roan, who everyone's obsessed with, whether it's Renee Rapp. Like that's got to feel amazing because it's kind of the representation you would have loved to see, I'm guessing, as a younger person. Oh yeah, it's such a wave of like queer artists. I love Chapel. I think she's incredible. Yeah, it's amazing that these like mainstream artists are now singing about queer love and queer lyrics, and everyone in the audience is singing it back. I think it's, it's such a time for it to be happening, and we're glad that we're a part of it. Yeah, 100%. It feels like even some of like the newer bands coming through have got like a bit more confidence to do that as well. Like people like Crawlers and stuff, just being like, this is who we are. And I guess that's just like where maybe society's at now. Everyone hopefully being a bit more accepting of it, and people, ready to share themselves a bit more artistically. I just feel like everyone's queer these days. I'm like, let's go. Let's go. Come on, big celebration. Gay pride every day. Let's do it. And what else would you say has been the main inspiration for this album? To be honest, I feel like there wasn't that much like external or internal influence. It was very much just what we wanted to do and what we wanted to say. I didn't feel like I wasn't very obsessed with anything at the time when I was writing Smitten, and I'm very much an all or nothing person, and I will get obsessed with something and let it become my whole entire personality. But with Smitten, I didn't have anything like that. So It's just genuinely just what I wanted to say. And I don't feel like I was thinking, this is what people expect from Pale Waves. I don't really care about that anymore. That's really good. What people want from us, I just want to write music, and if they like it, they do, and if they don't, they don't. And I'm fine with that. Yeah, because I read you sort of like delve back into like past experiences. You almost like revisiting the teenage diary, sort of seeing like what what you could get from there. And how was that as an experience?
It's a bit weird, not gonna lie, and now I need to sing about it on stage most nights, and some of those experiences were uncomfortable and they're still uncomfortable for me to even think about, or to think about how my actions were, or, you know, my behaviour. And it was interesting to be able to admit when I was wrong. And I feel like I can definitely do that now. I can definitely floor myself a lot more than I could when I was younger. I just always thought, you know, those are huge situations in my life that I can probably get a good song out of. And I guess I did.
Were there any songs that were really tricky to write? Just because, it's kind of like bringing up past trauma a little bit, isn't it?
Gravity was difficult. Obviously, the situation there is Jesus stole my girl. You know, I wasn't as good as Jesus was. So that was interesting. And just the song itself had about like 30 different versions. It was absolutely ridiculous.
Thank
too
God
many
it slaps
versions
when it's finished.
Well, we'd only decided in the studio as well. We were like, right, we need to finish this song, so it needs to be done now. But that took ages.
Let's dive into the singles then. So Perfume dropped first in Pride Month. Yes, love to see it. Why did this feel the right one to launch this new chapter with?
Perfume was the star of the show for everyone that heard the record, really. It's very romantic, it's very feminine, it's very queer, and it kind of felt right for the introduction to Smitten. It only felt right to begin with Perfume. It sets the picture of exactly what Smitten's going to be, and I just think it captures our message with this record perfectly.
And a big Cranberries vibe to it as well.
I love the Cranberries, yeah.
Which
obsessed.
Obviously is just, the best thing.
I know. Dolores, just incredible.
Is that a big inspiration for you?
Yeah, she is. And I just think she's very iconic because she never tried to be anything else. She was just genuine, and you could see that.
Yeah, and her voice is kind of like unusual as well, isn't it? But that's why it works so well.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like, I'm nowhere near as good as her, but we both have different voices. I don't have the most generic voice. Like, I don't think I'm a singer, and I don't think I'm like the best singer at all. Like, I'm quite insecure about my singing.
No.
No. I've actually been getting singing lessons, so that's good. But I don't consider myself like a singer. I just try my best.
Yeah.
And
sometimes you have to kind of grow into your voice, don't you, and like accept it, I suppose. It's probably all part of the process
100%.
of being an artist.
Yeah, exactly. But I admire her voice. I think it was just different. And it's kind of refreshing to listen to.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, embrace the difference, isn't it, for sure?
Yeah.
And then you came through with Heartbreak Anthem, Glasgow.
Oh, yeah, I love Glasgow. Glasgow is my favourite.
Really? Okay, how did this one come together?
I think it started with the guitar riff. And then I just sang the melody. And I think at first I only had the melody. I didn't have Glasgow. But I knew I wanted to sing about this experience in Glasgow, and I knew I wanted to give the Scots like a song, you know, because I love going to Scotland. Like my dad's Scottish and I'm half Scottish. I wish they raised me there in Scotland, so I had a Scottish accent. I literally always talk in a Scottish accent when I'm at home.
It's a great accent, yeah.
I know, it's so good.
Let's see your Scottish accent.
All right, there, Hen, how you doing?
Oh, it's good. It's good. I was expecting it to be rubbish.
No, I do it all the time. I knew I wanted to give the Scots, you know, a song, and it was Glasgow.
And there it is. That'll go down so well when you play there on tour as well.
I'm like, should we just keep repeating that song and just do like Glasgow like 15 times?
Yeah, just that in the set list.
I feel like the Scots would love that.
They would.
They'd be like, yeah, let's make it all about us.
They really would love that. I'm also obsessed with Miss America. Like, such an amazing song.
You.
And like you were saying, that's sort of you reflecting back on some of your past behaviours, isn't it? And addressing that.
Yeah, of course. It is interesting because you're putting these songs out and they don't paint me in the best light at all.
Do you mind that?
I think when I think about it a bit too much, then it starts to freak me out. But no one's perfect, and I've never been perfect. And yeah, I do regret, you know, some of my past behaviours, and I am ashamed of them. And I feel like I needed to write the song and it's also like admiring the person who I'm speaking about for kind of like sticking with me through those terrible times. But I was also really comfortable writing the song because I wrote it with Hugo and Ben Leftwich, who was a really good friend of mine, and so I felt really comfortable to be vulnerable.
That's so important, isn't it, to have those people on your side? Otherwise, you just can't go there, I guess.
No, exactly. And I only love writing with people that I do feel really comfortable with, and I only have like a handful of people that I write music with.
Yeah, talk us through some of the other collaborators on the album and sort of what drew you to them. Obviously,
one of those is Ciara. We always write music
of
together,
course.
And our friendship goes back for years, and we've been through so much together, highs and lows, but now we're probably at like the best point that we've been in years.
Really?
In terms
That's so
of
nice
our friendship,
to hear.
yeah. And we have the best times together, and we both deeply care about Pale Waves and deeply care about one another. So I always feel comfortable writing with them. And then Simon, who kind of like co-produced the record, I wrote a lot of it with him, and he lives in LA, but he's not American. So he got where I was trying to go with it.
Yeah.
His parents are British, so he kind of got the music and the references and all that. I think that's pretty much about it. There's not really that much more involvement.
You like to keep it quite close, like you were saying.
Yeah, 100%.
What song are you most proud of?
I mean, I love Glasgow, but I would have to maybe say Last Train Home. That was mainly just wrote like me and on the acoustic, and then Hugo came in, did his thing, and I think that is an uncomfortable situation about me not being ready with my sexuality, but, you know, the other woman was, and how I was unfair to her, and how, you know, I feel regret about that, on how I treated her. And so it was interesting to write, but I am very proud of it.
Was it therapeutic?
It was, in a way, because I feel
though.
like I've locked it away and I've just buried it deep down. And writing Smitten, I kind of like reopened those wounds and wanted to kind of heal and, you know, lay them to rest.
I feel like, though, this new confidence and freedom definitely comes across like loud and clear in the music. But how do you think you've got yourself to a point where you are, you know, truly comfortable and happy in who you are? Because everyone's kind of on a mission, really, aren't they, to achieve real self-love?
Yeah, of course,
but
yeah.
how have you done it?
I would say finding someone who truly loves me for who I am. Yeah, Kelsi's kind of... She's shown me what love is, and I can tell she loves me for who I am. And she's worked through so many things with me.
That's so
but
nice.
Finding someone who really like sees you for who you are, that kind of changed me a lot and made me want to become a better person. So I would say it's mainly all her, basically. I did nothing.
That's so nice. I love it. And were you imagining like playing live when you were making this album as well? Because I feel like it's going to translate straight into the live show, like with the rest of your catalogue, for sure.
Yeah, we always think about how it'll translate live, but not so much how we did with Unwanted.
Right.
It was more so, do I like this? Do I love playing this song acoustic? I think that was really important to me. I went to strip away everything with these songs and just, is it a great song with just me and my guitar?
That's the real marker of a good song, isn't it? Like you say, you take everything away, no
all
bells
the
and
distractions.
whistles.
Yeah. Just strip it down to its bones, and that's how most of Smitten started, just me and my guitar.
I'm so excited to hear it live, though, like I say. And your gigs are such a, you know, safe space for people who feel different. They've got this amazing sense of community, which I guess is for the fans, but also for you as well.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I feel like, you know, the odd one out as well. Always growing up, people in high school would be like, oh, you know, the goth girl who's dyed her hair black and wears the heavy makeup, etc. Yeah, I was never the popular girl. I didn't want to be the popular girl, though. I don't like people enough. I don't like
the attention. No,
I don't like being around people enough to be popular. Like, Hugo is very popular and has so many friends, and I'm like, how do you do that? Like, how do you keep up with that? Like, I only need like 5.
You mentioned there, like, your makeup, though, and it feels like people come to Pale Wave shows with your makeup and your look now.
Yeah, sometimes I see people, I'm like, is that me?
Look at that. It's like looking in the mirror.
Yeah, I'm like, God, I love that outfit. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, you're like, love that for you.
Yeah, it's so good.
Are there any, like, fan interactions or stories that have really stuck with you?
Oh, there's been so many, to be fair. A lot of people these days come up to me and they're really appreciative of how open I am about my sexuality and my relationship with Kelsi, and because they feel seen and they feel represented, and it brings them great comfort, and they feel like they're a part of something when they're at a Pale Wave show.
Oh, you couldn't ask for more than that, really, could you?
I know, I'm always like, I don't know what to say back to this. But
yeah, because you're being what you needed when you were younger for somebody else.
Yeah, which is a full circle, isn't it? It's so crazy, but I'm also just trying to be me.
Yes.
And just do what I feel comfortable with.
So if people are just like discovering you now on this new album, like what songs would you point them towards to get to know you better? Like what do you think are the quintessential Pale Wave songs?
Well, there's a Honey, because that's just like classic, innit? She's My Religion.
Yes.
Because I feel like that was, even though that was a second album track, every time we play it live, it's just the moment. It's insane. It's definitely one of, or if not, the biggest song by Pale Waves now anyway. It's always incredible to play live.
And a turning point, I think.
Yeah.
Of you being like that bit more open in your songwriting and everything
as
well.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I am quite a closed book and I enjoy keeping things to myself, but as an artist, it's not so much of a luxury. But I think now at this point, I give away what I'm comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel more comfortable to be more open. But going back to the question, there's a Honey, She's My Religion, Jealousy, and then from this album, Perfume.
Yeah, they'd go on the Pale Waves greatest hits, wouldn't
they?
For sure. When it comes.
When it's time,
like
that'll be on the set list. Yeah.
Like you say, There's a Honey. I adore that song. I remember you just like bursting onto the scene with it. And then Television Romance following it up as well.
Mm-hmm.
Both co-produced, obviously, by Matty Healy, who signed to the same label as you.
Yep.
Dirty Hit. And what was it like having somebody like that as a mentor kind of early doors?
It's pretty wild, really. I mean, we were just babies who didn't know anything about the music industry. We just enjoyed writing songs, and obviously we're fans of 75, and then we signed to Dirty Hit, and then they got involved, and you know, he's just really creative and very talented, and so is George, and they're all very nice people, and they took us on tour with them, and we had some of the best times. I mean, we had one song out and we were playing Madison Square Gardens.
Yeah. How did you find that? Because you must have gone from playing pretty small, intimate rooms, as a new band to being like,
50 people or something.
Hang on a minute, it's like an arena.
I was terrified, and then Matty came up to me and said, just get on with it, you have to go on stage. I was like, oh, I guess I do, I'm here now, you know, my parents are out there. But it was an experience, never forget it.
I mean, baptism of fire. I guess that's probably why you guys are so confident on stage now, because nothing's going to faze you.
No, I mean, I feel like now, at this point in my career, I'm more nervous for the live aspect of things than I've ever been.
Right, okay.
But I think it goes back to I'm not drinking anymore. I haven't been drinking for 2 years. And so when I go out on stage, I'm going out stage with, like, you know, a ginger tea, and that's about it. I'm stone cold sober, and I see everything and witness everything, and it is weird, but I prefer it.
Is it? Yeah. Is it beautiful in some ways though, because you're so present?
Yeah. Whereas sometimes I've gone on stage and I'm like, what is my name?
Yeah. That was
what
a
am
blur
I doing here?
When you finished.
Yeah, and I can't be doing that, you know. So yeah, I actually enjoy it, but it is nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But once you're like a few songs in, I can kind of like calm down.
Yeah, and the energy from the crowd kind of like...
Yeah, and the adrenaline kicks in and you're like, all right, let's have it.
I wondered, like, with the 1975 support, like, so early on, like, what the other side of that was, because it meant you got a lot of comparison, didn't it? And I wondered if you ever sort of felt, I don't know, like you were trying to get out of their shadow a little bit.
We did get a lot of comparisons, but it's just music that's influenced by 80s music.
Yeah.
I've got curly hair and he's got curly hair, but I don't think we look alike. No. I don't know. People just love to associate, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
And it's just we're both really influenced by like 80s/90s music, and we both have a lot of guitars, you know, in our band. So a lot of guitar music. Oh, I mean, I could see the similarities with the influence, and I get that because I don't think a lot of bands were doing it at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I mean, I reflect now and look back and I'm like, oh, you know, who cares?
Yeah. You kind of have to have that attitude, don't you, really?
Yeah, you do with like everything, because there's always going to be someone saying something.
Yeah. What album would you say has had the most profound effect on you? One you've listened to as a fan?
Oh my God, this is a tricky one. I love the Cocteau Twins, Heaven and Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many albums, though, that I always go back to. A lot of Avril Lavigne,
mm-hmm.
Let It Go.
Oh, that album, man.
I know, that I feel like when I was younger, I really kind of looked up to her, because she was almost like a different female performer, you know. She wore a white vest and a tie, and
mm-hmm.
she rode a skateboard, and I could relate to that. I didn't want to just, you know, be another Britney Spears or whatnot.
Yeah.
I love Britney, but I was busy riding around on my little motocrosser.
Were you?
Yeah.
Zipping about on that, were you?
Yeah, I was.
You can definitely hear that Avril influence, I think, in like your first couple of albums, like, particularly. What do you think now, like reflecting back on making your debut album, My Mind Makes Noises? Like, what do you remember of that time?
I remember the studio when we were all staying in this little tiny flat, which was awful. Like, everything was falling apart. The shower, the boys had to like lean down when they showered because it fell off, and then the washing machine was breaking. Like, it was all in shambles. Like, it was quite horrific, and we were all just like, at one point, I think all of us were sharing a bed at one point, because we were just like, I don't know, but then we had some great times, and we had some. It's all part of it, isn't it? You gotta work your way up, and really long late nights in the studio. But I mean, compared to Eastbourne, it was probably Eastbourne's. I mean, not much happening there, is there? At least we did that one in London.
Yeah.
But it's nice. We got each other all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And them three make me laugh. They're really funny people, like genuine. Like, I'm not a funny person, so when I'm around them, I'm just like, wow, you're all so funny.
Oh,
they're just hilarious, and we've got a really good, strong friendship. And you could put us in a room, and we'll just be laughing.
Do you ever
constantly.
bicker, like as in like a sibling way?
Only me and Ciara really bicker. Not really me and the boys, or Ciara and the boys, really. Maybe a tiny bit, but we're around each other constantly. Mm-hmm. Like, we all sleep on the same bus, and like then we wake up, we're all in the same tiny dressing room, then we all go on stage, then we all get back on the bus. You have to like each other, don't you? Because that's a lot of time. You do, but we genuinely do like each other. I wondered as well, like, because you were such a hyped young band when you were like making the debut album. Did you feel like, we've really got to get this right, we've got to put our best foot forward? Or do you think you were just enjoying being with your mates making music and weren't really thinking about that stuff? We just had a fun time with it. But we did feel the pressure because we were so young within ourselves that we didn't have much confidence yet. But then, I don't know, you can't think about it too much, really. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember, it feels like years ago. Yeah, a distant memory. Honestly, I was a baby child then. Whereas now, it's just, we're all a lot more confident, and I don't really feel the pressure of that anymore. And I remember for your second album era, a standout was She's My Religion, which obviously we've spoken about a little bit. But what a song that is, honestly. It's like one I go back to all the time.
It's that lyric, made me feel like I'm finally enough. It gets me every time. It's amazing. Like a real love song. Is this like one you get a lot of messages about?
Oh yeah, all the time. And it's definitely a standout moment in the set. People love that song, and I love it too. But it's not like the typical love song, because, you know, the chorus is, she's cold, she's dark, she's cynical. Where she's actually not like that anymore. She's grown too. We've both grown together. But I wouldn't have it any other way. You know, we have like Easy, and that's a typical like love song, which is fun. But She's My Religion has an edge to it, and it has a darkness about it. But then it's still very romantic, and I just love that song. I love the guitar part too, and I would never remove that from the set list.
Ever? You better not, because the people are going to hit the roof.
They'd be fuming.
Honestly.
They'd leave. They'd be absolutely fuming.
And your girlfriend Kelsi is obviously in the video for that.
Yeah, I managed to convince her somehow. She's probably sick of me, honestly, because...
And you've done it again. She's in another video now.
I don't know how I managed that. I know. I was like, please, can you... I don't want to get a random person in. And like, because that would be so awkward, wouldn't it?
I can imagine it would be a bit, yeah.
I have to pretend to have this
wild
imaginary...
chemistry.
Yeah. And I don't know, I would feel very uncomfortable with that. But I managed to convince her somehow. She was just like, well, if you don't show me that much, as long as I can just like be in the distance, be in the background.
So were you quite new in your relationship around that video or not, for She's My Religion?
Yeah, about 2 years.
Oh, okay.
At first, when she heard the song, she was like, this is interesting. Because the chorus, obviously, she called Dr. Cynical. Yeah, I don't think she loved it at first. But that comes with like dating a musician or a writer or anything. No one's safe. I always say that to the band as well. I'm like, no one's safe here. You
tell me something, it's probably going to get in a song.
I know, that's true. It's like, what was that?
Sorry, tell me again, what was their name?
Yeah. I mean, we've got so many songs about... I mean, we've got a lot of songs about Ciara's exes, to be fair, but...
Right.
I don't think they ever made the cut. But no one's safe. It just comes with it, doesn't it?
What did Kelsi make of being in Gravity, the video? Enjoyed that a bit more?
She did, because she was more in the background. She just puts up with my shenanigans, really.
Fine.
I know, she's very patient. But we create a lot of it together. She's very creative, and usually her ideas are better than mine. So that's good for me. But honestly, she's kind of like the fifth member of the band. And
because you're collaborating a lot, like creatively now, aren't you, as well, in terms of like photos and videos and stuff. That must be really nice.
It is very nice.
Not everyone, gets to share that with their partner.
And I wouldn't want to do that with someone who's like not as talented and creative as Kelsi. Like she is genuinely those things. And she's kind of like so many roles for Pale Waves. She's basically the therapist as well. All of them three go to her before they go to me.
Oh, don't.
Yeah, I think they see her as like this kind of like older sister in ways, get great comfort from her, whereas they don't get as much like comfort from me. I guess because I'm a bit colder. But so yeah, she's many things for Pale Waves. She's probably exhausted. We probably need to pay her more.
There you go. Sort it, Kelsi, get better rates. How do you keep like pushing yourself on creatively? 4 albums in now, obviously the band been going for a while. How do you keep pushing new territory?
It's interesting really, because it's like, what else can I talk about now? And whether you want it to be personal or you want to pull from other things. I think for me, I like to create the idea first and then start to write songs knowing it's coming from this world. And with Smitten, it was very much my past and some present queer experiences. And then that kind of opened the doors for Smitten.
Have you started thinking about what's next or not?
I know early? It's coming. And
Are you ever not writing? Are you one of those people, it's quite a constant process?
Yeah, I'm always like on my guitar and I'm always singing something. But But it will be soon that I do have to start seriously thinking about the next thing. But I'm excited.
Booking an Airbnb in Eastbourne again, or
No.
no?
No, I can't do that again.
I can't do it.
There's not enough happening there. It was very nice, but I don't think I'll ever go back.
What's been your highlight with the band? There's obviously been loads of like special moments, but if you picked a
So
couple.
many special moments. I love going to Japan, and for me, it's wild that we get there and there's people, you know, at the airports, in the hotels, and then people at shows as well. Like, that's mad to me that you can go so far and people will show up and they love us in Japan. I had to buy a new suitcase in Japan, so just to fill my gifts and fly them back.
What kind of things do they bring?
All sorts. T-shirts, sweets, jewellery. Like, it's
Amazing.
like Christmas for me.
Yeah, you're
Every
like,
time I
this
go
is fab.
over there, I know, I'm like, oh, I guess keep them coming.
You've always had like amazing drive and ambition as a band. What is left on your bucket list that you're all still working towards?
Huge festivals, and I mean, it never ends and it never stops. I want to be playing arenas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm grateful for what we have, but I would like more.
Always.
I don't think it doesn't ever stop for me. You know, I always want to be striving for more and more, and the rest of the band does too, to be fair.
Well, keep killing it. Heather, thank you so much for being a legend as ever and coming on the podcast.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Heather from Pale Waves, everyone!
Thank you.
Always rooting for that band. Thank you to Heather from Pale Waves for being our guest on the Eras podcast this week. And thank you to you for listening. Can we ask you a little favour? Why not drop us a review or a comment wherever you are listening to this episode right now? It's always amazing to hear from you. And let us know who you'd like us to speak to next. This is a Good Karma production recorded at Metropolis Studios. See you next time.